स्वामी शील प्रभुपाद की जय। इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य भीविटी फाउंडर आचार्य सिवियर ऑफ द होल वर्ल्ड शील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर गोस्वामी महाराज शील प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। ब्रजभूमि वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय। पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। श्री द्वारकापुरी धाम की जय। गंगा मैया यमुना मैया की जय। भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय। सामवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। पतित पावन हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। श्री श्री रुक्मिणी द्वारकाधीश की जय। श्री श्री रुक्मिणी द्वारकानाथ की जय। श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की जय। श्री श्री गौरनिताय की जय। शील प्रभुपाद की जय। शील प्रभुपाद ट्रांसेंडेंटल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू असेंबल डिवोटीज। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू असेंबल डिवोटीज। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू असेंबल डिवोटीज। ऑल ग्लोरीज ऑल ग्लोरीज ऑल ग्लोरीज टू श्री गुरु एंड श्री गौरंगा। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जायामुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 2, Text 30. प्रयुक्तान् भोजराजेन मायिनः कामरूपिणः लीलया व्यनुदस्तांस्तान् बालः क्रीडनकानिव। 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 प्रयुक्तान् भोजराजेन मायिनः कामरूपिणः लीलया व्यनुदस्तांस्तान् बालः क्रीडनकानिव प्रयुक्तान् भोजराजेन मायिनः कामरूपिणः लीलया व्यनुदस्तांस्तान् बालः क्रीडनकानिव प्रयुक्तान् भोजराजेन मायिनः कामरूपिणः लीलया व्यनुदस्तांस्तान् बालः क्रीडनकानि माताजी प्रयुक्तान् भोजराजेन मायिनः कामरूपिणः लीलया व्यनुदस्तांस्तान् बालः क्रीडनकानिव प्रयुक्तान् engaged Bhojarajena by King Kamsa Mayinaha great wizards Kamarupinaha who could assume any form they liked Leelaya in the course of the pastimes Vyanudat killed Tan them Tan as they came there Balaha the child Kridanakan dolls Eva like that. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. The great wizards who were able to assume any form were engaged by the king of Bhoja, Kamsa, to kill Krishna. But in the course of his pastimes, the Lord killed them as easily as a child breaks dolls. Purport. The atheist Kamsa wanted to kill Krishna just after his birth. He failed to do so, but later on he got information that Krishna was living in Vrindavan at the house of Nanda Maharaj. He therefore engaged many wizards who could perform wonderful acts and assume any form they liked. All of them appeared before the child Lord in various forms like Agha, Baka, Putana, Shakata, Trinavarta, Dhenuka and Gardabha. And they tried to kill the Lord at every opportunity. But one after another, all of them were killed by the Lord as if he were only playing with dolls. Children play with toy lions, elephants, bows, and many similar dolls, which are broken by the children in the course of their playing with them. Before the Almighty Lord, any powerful living being is just like a toy lion in the hands of a playing child. No one can excel God in any capacity, and therefore no one can be equal to or greater than him, nor can anyone attain the stage of equality with God by any kind of endeavor. Jnana, Yoga, and Bhakti are three recognized processes of spiritual realization. The perfection of such processes can lead one to the desired goal of life in spiritual value. But that does not mean that one can attain a perfection equal to the Lord's by such endeavors. The Lord is Lord at every stage, when he was playing just like a child on the lap of his mother Yashodamai, or just like a cowherd boy with his transcendental friends. He continued to remain God without the slightest diminution of his six opulences. Thus, he is always unrivaled. ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजाता सहगण रघुनाथान्वितां सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमां विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामीनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकाकांत राधाकांत नमोस्तुते तप्तकांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मूखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघायते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यईश्वरम् Hare Krishna. I seek blessings of all devotees so that I can speak something for Lord's pleasure, glorifying Lord for all of your pleasure and for my purification. So, Uddhava is continuing describing Lord's pastimes. So, today he is kind of giving a summary of how Kamsa, he sent many demons, but Krishna killed them just as a child breaks the toys. Nice analogy. So today also happens to be a very auspicious day. Today is Vasanta Panchami. So we'll discuss a little bit about this purport, and then we'll discuss about Vasanta Panchami. We'll discuss about Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Today is his disappearance day. And we'll also discuss about Srimati Vishnu Priya Devi, Sri Pundarik Vidyanidhi, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, and Sri Raghunandan Thakur. All of these devotees' appearance day. So let's see, like, these are great personalities. We can spend hours discussing, but we'll try to see as quickly as possible. So in the purport, the gist is that Krishna is God at any juncture in his life. It was not that Krishna became God. He did some tapasya, and he went and did some push-ups, and that's how he got strength to lift Govardhan. No. Krishna is God, and when he appeared, he was still God, and without even a slightest diminution of his six opulences. So when he was crawling baby, it was not that his opulence as a strength was diminishing. No, he was as powerful as that. Just by sucking, he killed Putana. Just by touch of his toe, he killed Shakatasur. Just by grabbing his arm around the neck, he killed Trunavarta. So, and all these great wizards, Prabhupada is translating as like all these demons, They had so much power, they could assume any form they like. But all of them, they were neutralized just by, it's like a kid, they play with toys and the toy breaks. So same way. So there is a nice point Srila Prabhupada is mentioning, is that jnana, yoga and bhakti, they give us, perfection in spiritual life, but no one can attain perfection equal to the Lord's by such endeavors. So Lord is called as asama urdhva, means asama, there is no one who is sama, like equal to him, or urdhva, no one is greater than him. So no, in Chaitanya, I think it's in Chaitanya Bhagavat, the story comes where Rupa Goswami was traveling from Vrindavan to meet Lord in Jagannath Puri. With him accompanied one devotee, his name was Ramdas Vishwas. He was always chanting the name of Lord Ram. And he was very respectful towards Rupa Goswami, and he carried, his luggage, and, he accompanied to Jagannath Puri. And there, Rupa Goswami and he both, they offer obeisances to Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya very happily goes and embraces Rupa Goswami, but he even doesn't look at this Ramchandra Vishwas. So devotees were kind of, little surprised. But then came to know later that this person, he was chanting the name of Lord Ram with a desire to become Lord Ram. So that was the fault. So Prabhupada writes in so many places in purports, right? Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, that individual Jivatma, for him to think that he is the Lord, is the last snare of Maya. So even if somebody says, okay, I don't want anything of this world, that world, I don't want any siddhis, this, that. But Maya still tests him by making him think that he is now equal to God. So therefore, devotees are very careful about this, that they'll never think that they'll become one with Krishna. So to summarize, Uddhava is discussing about various demons killed, and he is discussing that Krishna's opulences never diminish, and he is Lord every time. And then the fault of thinking one can become God is problem we discussed with that past time. So with that, we'll stop on this verse. Now we'll discuss about this Vasanta Panchami. So this is 5th day of this month where spring begins. So generally, like in northern part of India, there is this mustard crop. So the yellow flowers of mustards, they are like blossomed at this point, and the nature is really at its best. So in Vrindavan, there is a tradition of offering Krishna a yellow dress. Today also we have Rukmini Dwarkadish beautifully dressed in yellowish green. In Mayapur also they celebrate this by dressing Lord, offering them marigold flowers and other flowers. So very Lord spring pastimes they start today. Also today happened to be Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's disappearance day. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he is one of the prominent acharya. He comes after disappearance of Srila Narottam Das Thakur, and that Narottam Das Thakur, Shyamanand Pandit and Srinivas Acharya, they preached Vaishnavism vigorously, but after that it was kind of slowed down. So Narottam Das Thakur's one of the disciple, his name was Ganganarayan Chakravarti. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur was his great grand disciple. So Ganganarayan Chakravarti's disciple was Krishnadas Chakravarti, and his disciple was, I think, uh, one more Ramdas Chakravarti, I guess, and then his disciple was Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Yeah. So Vishwanath Chakravarti, he appeared in Radhadesh in Nadia district. He was also known as Hari Vallabha, and he had two brothers, Ramabhadra and Raghunath. He stayed in the village known as Devagram. So these are all in Navadvip area. Then he moved to Saiyabad Gram and in Murshidabad district. Yeah. These are the places where his guru Sri Radharaman Chakravarti, sorry, yeah, his guru's name was Radharaman Chakravarti. He met him. So and then he was initiated by him, and then he prayed to Lord, and it is said that Srimati Radharani came in his dream, and sorry, it was little later actually. So he started writing profusely about the Acharya's Tika, Tika on Acharya's literature. Tika meaning the commentary on Acharya's literature. So one of the famous pastime is once he was writing, studying this Kama Gayatri, describing Krishna's form. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he describes that Krishna's form is compared of 24 and a half full moons. Sorry, 24 full moons and half moon, 24 and a half moons actually. And then he studied and he calculated, so then somehow it is, by his calculation, it was happening is that, it's coming as 25, full moons, Krishna's form is compared to. So, but he said that, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he is Acharya, he cannot be wrong. But then my understanding, is not correct. So he said, unless I understand this, I'll not eat actually, I'll fast. And just meditating this, he felt asleep, and Srimati Radharani came to his dream, and she actually tells that how Krishna's form is, this 24 and a half. So actually it is said that how this, Krishna's form is compared to 24 and a half, moons. It is said Krishna's 10 fingernails, they are compared to as 10 moons. Krishna's 10 toenails, there are another 10 moons, so 20. Then Krishna's lotus face is another full moon, 21. Then Krishna's cheeks, 2, right? 21, 22, 23. And then Krishna's smile again, right? That's 24th. And Krishna's forehead, that is compared as half. So that's how, Krishna's transcendental body is compared to 24 and a half, moons. So he was very fond, he was very amazing preacher, and he was the one who very strongly rejected the caste Goswami system, and also he was the one who was, though he was called as Rasika Acharya, he was not Sahajiya. Some Sahajiyas used to refer him as our there Sahajiya Rasika Shiromani, something like that, but it was not the case. His commentaries, if we read Sararth Darshini, he wrote, and then there is he wrote commentary on Bhagavad Gita also. He wrote many books actually. Then he wrote Shri Stavamala Lahari, waves of prayers. So in that he establishes the principles of Gaudiya Vaishnavism very amazingly. In Jaipur there was a case wherein the Sri Vaishnavites, they challenged this caste Goswamis, because they saw that it's not correct what they are following. So that time Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur was very old. He was around 74 years old. So he sent his disciple, who was another stalwart, Baldev Vidyabhushan, and he went and he kind of defeated them and proved that how Gaudiya Vaishnavism is the correct and authentic philosophy. So not only that he has he was a Rasika Acharya, but he was also very pakka, very firm in the mood and teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he has written a kind of biography. Those who are interested, they can read this about him very nicely. Some of the books which he wrote are Sri Krishna Bhavamruta, Sankalpa Kalpa Druma, Chamatkar Chandrika, then Vrajarati Chintamani, Gauranga Leelamrut, Madhurya Kadambini, then Ujjwala Neelamani Kirtan, Bhakti Rasamruta Sindhu Bindu. So like this, many books he wrote. So that's the amazing personality of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Some of his commentaries were so astonishing, like the famous pastime where Bhishma was throwing arrows at Krishna. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that Krishna was feeling like a lover throwing roses on the beloved. So he has that particular bhava. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur ki jai. Okay, so the next one is today is appearance day of Sri Vishnu Priya Devi. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was as a Nimai Pandit, first he got married to Lakshmi Priya, and then he went to West Bengal for earning, and then that time it is said that the snake of separation bit Lakshmi Priya Devi and she left this world. And when he came back, Mother Sachi, she insisted Lord Chaitanya to marry again. So that time Lord Chaitanya, there was a nice Brahmana, his name was Sanatan Mishra. So he had a beautiful daughter, with all good godly qualities. Her name was Vishnu Priya Devi. So their marriage was arranged, and Vishnu Priya Devi from childhood, she used to go and bathe in Ganges 3 times, and she used to meet Sachimata. So used to every day, offer obeisances to Sachimata. So Sachimata used to feel that, this lady is so gentle, she could be a nice, bride for Nimai. And then they get married very pompously. And then it is said that this their marriage was, sponsored by Buddhimanta Khan, another devotee, and it was celebrated in great pomp. And then after their marriage, after a few days, Lord Chaitanya, he goes to Gaya and he meets Ishwarpuri, and then naturally his devotional sentiments, they are awakened, and he is no more Nimai Pandit. So when he comes back home, Vishnu Priya Devi and Sachimata, they realize that he is not same Nimai. But what can be done? They could just not do anything. And then after a few days, Vishnu Priya Devi, she asks Lord that, "Oh Lord, I am hearing rumors that you are going to leave us. Is that true?" And Lord says yes. And then there is a nice conversion. So it is said that Lochandas Thakur, he tells about this pastimes of when Vishnu Priya Devi, just the night before Lord took sannyas. So this is that, I'll read. Vishnu Priya Devi, she says, in a choked with voice, with emotion, Vishnu Priya said, "Tell me, O Prananath, is it true the rumor I heard that you will take sannyas and leave me? If I lose your association, I might as well end my life by drinking poison." Responding with gentle, compassionate words, Sri Gaura Rai said, "Vishnu Priya, you are as dear to me as my life itself. There is no need to worry. Please hear that I am about to say, for it will help you. The only truth in this world is Bhagavan and the Vaishnavas. Everything else is illusion. Fathers, mothers, children, relationships between man and women are all illusory. Krishna is the master, the real husband of everyone. Don't lament. Don't worry. Your name is Vishnu Priya. Therefore, fulfill the real meaning of Vishnu Priya and always think of Krishna within your heart. Then Sri Gaurasundara showed his four-armed form, which helped Vishnupriya understand his absolute position. Seeing this vanquished Vishnupriya's grief and pain. She felt blissful. This vision and Mahaprabhu's instructions removed her bewilderment, but she kept the mentality of taking the Lord as her husband. Sobbing and failing at Lord Chaitanya's feet, she said, I beg you to accept my humble submission. You are the most dear Lord of my life, my only wealth. Without you, without your service, I have nothing. Lord Gauranga embraced Vishnupriya with his eyes. He gave her mercy with these words, I shall travel here and there, but wherever I go, I shall always remain at your place. Understanding the supremely independent nature of Lord Gaura, Vishnupriya said, You must do what makes you happy, my Lord. Let no one be an obstacle in your divine mission. It's from Chaitanya Mangal. So, actually, this shows that Lord's and Vishnupriya, actually, she was an expansion of Lord's, Bhu potency. There are three potencies: Sri, Bhu, and Nitya. So she was an expansion of Bhu potency. So she sacrificed her own personal life for Lord's mission to deliver the fallen souls. And then after Lord Chaitanya took sannyas, it is said she used to chant one round and put one grain of rice aside, and whatever grains are collected at the end of the day, she used to cook, offer it, and accept that as prasad. She led very austere life, and she continually worshipped Lord. The deity which she worshipped is called as Dhameshwar Mahadev. It's a deity, very beautiful big deity of Lord Gauranga. It's in Navadvip still. We can go and see. So that's the sacrifice Vishnupriya Devi she made for all the living entities. Actually, Srimati Vishnupriya Devi ki jai. Then there is today is also appearance of Raghunandan Thakur. Time is running less. I'll be very fast now. So he was the son of Mukunda Datta also, so it's called. So he used to live in a village of Shrikhanda. So his father was a doctor. So once his father went to see the king, and then while his mother, she asked Raghunandan that go and offer this bhoga to Lord, the deity of Gopinath. So he said, oh no, how do you offer? He said, just you go, place the food, bhoga, and say, Lord, please eat. So this kid, small child, he goes in front of his Gopinath deity, he places the bhoga and says, Lord, please eat. And then he doesn't understand, Anga Aniyasya Sakalendriya Vrittimanti Pashyanti Panti. Krishna accept by his eyes, So he doesn't see anything moving. So he said, Gopinath, please eat, And then Lord speaks, I eat by my eyes, He said, no, eat, eating means eating. And he said, please eat. If you don't eat, my father will beat me. And then Gopinath, seeing the innocent devotion of Lord, he eats everything. And he comes out of the altar with empty plate. So then father comes, he says, where is Prasad? He said, your son offered, and he said, Gopinath ate it. So Mukunda, he was also devotee, so he was not sure whether he ate or Gopinath ate. So he said, okay, make a laddu and give it him. So he makes a laddu, his mother, and gives to Lord to Raghunandan, and he goes there, he offers it, and he says, Gopinath, please eat. He said, I just ate. He said, no, eat. So Gopinath takes the laddu, bites the half, and then Mukunda saws from behind the curtain, and immediately Gopinath goes back in the deity form. So that half laddu, it is said, is still in Shrikhanda. Devotees can go and see. So when Mukunda went to see Lord Chaitanya asked, who is father and who is son? So Mukunda says, Raghunandan is my father and I am his son, because he taught me how to serve Krishna, how to serve, with real devotion. And this glories of this Raghunandan, spread far and wide. So one another devotee, Abhiram Thakur, he came to meet him. So this devotee had a amazing personality. If he paid obeisances to a Shaligram Shila, and if that Shila was not actual Shaligram, that Shila would break. And he pays to obeisances to some devotee, and if he is not genuine devotee, he would die. And if today he would have been there, he would have known as serial killer in ISKCON, wherever pays obeisances, At least people like me would have died, I can say. And he had a stick. Whoever he whips, he used to get Krishna Prem, love of God. So that was this personality. So the word spread that, Abhinam Thakur is coming to meet Raghunandan. And he comes and is a big, elderly man. He pays obeisances to Raghunandan. Everybody is watching what will happen next. And nothing happens, because Raghunandan was pure devotee. So that shows actually this amazing, personality this, devotee was. And when Lord used to go for Ratha Yatra, he used to dance along in the circle where, Narari Sarkar, that was his uncle. They used to perform kirtan and, he was one of the chief dancers. So Srila Raghunandan Thakur ki cha. Okay. Now Pundarik Vidyanidhi, we just, I'll be really fast. I'll take few more minutes. Is that okay? Yeah. So Pundarik Vidyanidhi, there is a Chota Gram, another village. He used to stay there, and he also came to stay in Mayapur near Navadvip because he liked to stay near Ganges. So outwardly he was a zamindar, big personality, royal kind of. But only few people could know that this personality is devotee, and one of them was Mukundat. Of course, Lord Chaitanya was knowing that, he's a devotee. He used to say, oh, he's my father, So once Mukunda, he takes Gadadhar Pandit, who was Brahmachari, to meet Pundarik Vidyanidhi. And Pundarik Vidyanidhi was sitting on royal throne, eating, betel nuts, spitting, watching in mirror. Servants are fanning him, posh, So, Gadadhar Pandit, he thinks, why he brought me to this person who is such a materialistic guy. So he understands this. And then what he does, he just recites one of the verse which we just, discussed couple of days back. Aho bakiyam stanakalukutam jighasayapaya dapyasadvi lebhe gatim dhatruchitam tatonyam kamva dayalum sharanam vrajema. And when he recites this verse, he starts, ripping his clothes, throwing the things, and he goes in such an ecstasy that even 10 servants could not hold him. And then after his ecstasy goes, he, becomes unconscious for 6 hours. And then this, then Gadadhar Pandit understand, actually he's pure devotee. And then after getting up he thinks that I offended him mentally. So he says that, I want to accept initiation from him. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, yes, very nice. And he accepts actually initiation from Pundarik Vidyanidhi. So he is none other than Vrishabhanu Maharaj from Krishna Lila. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to call him as, sometimes Prem Nidhi, sometimes Vidyanidhi, sometimes Acharya Nidhi, with different names, very lovingly. He was also a disciple of Madhavendra Puri. So he used to offer him same respect. He was very good friend of Swarup Damodar. They used to try to, take each other's feet, dust. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to, watch that fun. Also, once on Odan Shashti day, they offered Lord Chaitanya a new garment without being washed. So there was still starched. So, Swarup Damodar said, why, Pundarik Vidyanidhi said, why they are offering this? This is muchi, this is not clean. They should be washed. So that night, Lord Jagannath and Baldev, they come and they, they slap Pundarik Vidyanidhi. He said, keep your purity with you, Here all devotees are, whatever they do, I like it. So that was the personality. Srila Pundarik Vidyanidhi ki cha. Then Raghunath Das Goswami, we can literally speak hours, and we have already left time, but I'll just still, speak a little bit. So Raghunath Das Goswami was son of great Jamindar, Hiranya and Jagdish Pandit, So they were Vaishnavas, but very rich. They called, filthy rich, kind of thing. And then, but from his childhood, he was fortunate to get association of Haridas Thakur. And it is said, when you go to a drunkard and associate with him, you become a drunkard. So you go to a Vaishnava, you associate with him, you become Vaishnava. So same thing happened with him. He became a lover of Lord Chaitanya by the contagious association of Haridas Thakur. And then when Lord Chaitanya took sannyas, he came to Shantipur. That was the first time when Raghunath Das, as a small child, he met Lord Chaitanya. And he wanted to surrender, but Lord Chaitanya said, don't be a Markat Vairagi, go back. Then again, after a few days, few years, Nityanand Prabhu, he comes in Panihati, and then Then again Raghunath Das Goswami, he meets him, and that time Lord Nityananda, he orders him to have this Chidadahi made for all devotees, and we have that great Chidadahi celebration festival. And then Lord Nityananda bestow, he puts his lotus feet on his head, and he said, soon you will be delivered. And then of course, this, we won't go in detail, but soon after that, he somehow runs from his home. His father says that if a beautiful wife like Sachi and a wealth that of Indra cannot keep him home, what this guard can do? He just gives up actually. And then he goes to Jagannath Puri and he surrenders, and Lord Chaitanya puts him under care of Swarup Damodar. So he was known as, Surupera Raghunath. And he was the one. So whenever, actually, he also showed, Raghunath Das Goswami is Prayojan Acharya, teaching us the highest thing, but he showed that we don't approach God directly. He used to, if he had to ask something, he would always go through Swarup Damodar. So there he got training under Swarup Damodar for 18 years, I guess. He was in Jagannath Puri observing Lord's pastime. So his father sent two Brahmanas with lot of money. So initial days when he went, Raghunath Das Goswami used to cook feast and feed everybody. But then he felt that, oh, Lord Chaitanya is not liking this. So then he stopped that, and then he himself also stopped eating, and he started begging. So after some days, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very happy. So after some days, he asked, Swarup Damodar, what Raghunath Das is doing now. So he says he stopped even begging now. He is now going to the free food booths, and eating there. So he becomes very happy, and after some days, he again asks, what he is doing now. He says he stopped that also. Now he goes to the place where they throw all the rotten prasad. Prasad is never rotten in sense, but externally. And then the cows, they eat it, and the things which are too bad, the rice which is, even cows cannot eat, he picks up that rice, he washes, and he eats it. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu becomes very happy. And he goes there to the place where Raghunath Das was staying, and he had put that rice, somewhere. So he goes there and he picks it and he eats it, and Raghunath Das Goswami said, no, Lord, my life is finished. It's not fit for you, don't eat it. So Lord Chaitanya says, I have never tasted more delicious food than this. So he was testing this, renunciation of Raghunath Das. Even if we try to imitate, we'd be dead, if we try to imitate Raghunath Das Thakur, Raghunath Das Goswami. So then it is said that Lord gave him instruction. When he asked, what is the instruction on me? He said, Gramya kathana kahibe, Gramya kathana shunibe, Bhalana khaibe pari, Bhalana paribe, Hridaya sada Radha Krishna smaribe. Like, never hear gossip, never speak gossip, don't eat opulent food, and always in the heart of heart, remember Radha and Krishna. So he had given, Lord Chaitanya gave a Gunjamala and a Govardhan Shila to Raghunath Das Goswami, which he carried. So once Lord left, Raghunath Das Thakur, he also wanted to give up his life. So he thought he'll go to Vrindavan, jump from Govardhan and reunite with Lord. But when he goes to Vrindavan, he meets with Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, and there they say that, you don't do this. You are the one who has observed Lord for pastime, for his all Ante Leela basically. So please tell. So every day on the bank of Radha Kund, 3 hours, Raghunath Das Goswami used to speak about Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, and that was the source from where Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that I have all this information to write Chaitanya Charitamrita. And he had very strict vows. He will do Govardhan Parikrama every day. He will offer 1000 obeisances to Vaishnavas actually. Just imagine, even in old age. So, and he used to take bath 3 times in Radha Kund. And he never cared about himself. So one day he was chanting and he was in hot sun, right? So Srimati Radhani, she comes and puts her, pallu to protect him from sun. Another day, he was sitting in meditating, in Krishna's, bhajan, and one lion was about to pounce on him. So Krishna comes there with a stick to, chase that lion. And this was viewed by other Goswamis. So they see, they tell him that, you please make a bhajan kutir. We are here to serve Krishna, not take service from them. And then he, he builds a bhajan kutir, and he wrote so many, beautiful books as well. One of another amazing pastime that he used to drink every day, a small cup of buttermilk actually, and that's all, and sometimes not that also. And one day he had a digestion. So one Ayurvedic personality was called doctor, and he examined and he said that, it seems he has indigestion because he ate lot of sweet rice. So this disciple says, come on, you must be a fake. He just drinks a palm full of buttermilk once in few days, and you are saying he ate a lot of sweet rice, and that's why the indigestion. And actually, to everybody's surprise, Raghunath Das Goswami says that in my meditation I had offered sweet rice to Lord and I had accepted that. So you just see that the personality what has. So of course there are many pastimes, but the the teaching for us is that we always approach through Guru Parampara, and then always giving respect to the Vaishnavas. Those are important teachings, and of course his renunciation was what Raghunath Das Goswami has taught us. So we'll stop here. Shri Raghunath Das Thakur ki jai, Shri Raghunath Das Goswami ki jai. Yeah, I think there's no. Jai Shri Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.